The doors to the trauma bay opened at 3:14 in the morning, and there on the stretcher, bleeding out, was the last person I ever expected to see. Behind her, in the hallway, stood two others I'd spent 5 years trying to forget. They didn't know I was here. They didn't know what I'd become. And in about 30 seconds, they were going to find out. My name's Fiona Sutton. I'm 32. And that night changed everything. But let me back up. Growing up, there were 2 daughters in the Sutton house, but only one who mattered. Charlotte's 3 years older than me. She came out performing, school plays, student council, the girl who could charm any adult at any dinner party. My parents loved her for it. I was the quiet one. The one with her nose in a biology textbook at Thanksgiving while Charlotte held court. I wasn't rebellious or difficult. I was just invisible. 8th grade, I made state science fair. Only kid from our school. Same weekend, Charlotte had a community theater performance. One guess where my parents went. When I came home with a second-place ribbon, Dad glanced at it. That's nice, Fiona. He didn't ask what my project was about. I poured everything into my grades, my applications. If I couldn't be the daughter they noticed, I'd be the daughter they couldn't ignore. The day I got accepted into Willamette Medical University's medical program, 3,000 miles from Fairfield, something shifted. Dad read the letter at the kitchen table. Willamette Medical University. That's a real medical school. Then he looked at me. Maybe you'll make something of yourself after all, Fiona. It wasn't a compliment, but it was the closest thing to one I'd ever gotten from him. Mom called everyone that night. Fiona got into medical school. Can you believe it? Pride. Genuine pride. Directed at me. At dinner, I glanced at Charlotte. She was smiling, but it was the kind of smile that stops at the mouth. Her eyes were calculating, measuring. That week, Charlotte started calling constantly. How's packing? Who's your roommate? What's Portland like? She asked about everything, my schedule, classmates, professors. She remembered every name. I thought my sister was finally seeing me. I was feeding her ammunition. Every detail, every vulnerability. 3rd year of medical school, everything cracked open. My roommate Emily was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. No family, no support system, just me. I went to the dean, explained the situation. He approved a formal leave of absence. 1 semester, caregiver status, all documented. I moved into Emily's apartment, drove her to chemo, held her hand at 3 in the morning when the pain got so bad she couldn't breathe. I called Charlotte to tell her. I told her about Emily, about the leave, about coming back in spring. Charlotte's voice was syrup. Oh my God, Fiona, I'm so sorry. Take all the time you need. I won't say a word to Mom and Dad. I know they'd just worry. 3 days later, she called our parents. The call came at 11 at night. I was sitting next to Emily's hospital bed. My phone lit up. Dad, your sister told us everything. His voice was arctic. The dropping out, the boyfriend, all of it. Dad, that's not. Charlotte showed us proof. What proof? Dad, I'm in a hospital right now taking care of my friend. Charlotte said you'd say exactly that. She said you'd have a story ready. Mom got on the line. How could you lie to us for a whole year, Fiona? Mom, please. I filed a leave of absence. I can show you the paperwork. I can give you the dean's number. Enough. Dad again. Don't call this house until you're ready to tell the truth. The line went dead. 4 minutes and 12 seconds. That's how long it took my parents to erase me. 20 minutes later, a text from Charlotte. I'm sorry, Fiona. I had to tell them. I couldn't keep your secret anymore. She wasn't sorry. She just executed the most precise strike of her life. Over the next 5 days, I called 14 times. By the 4th call, Dad blocked me. Mom blocked me 2 days later. I sent 2 emails, one with my leave of absence paperwork attached. I included the dean's direct phone number, Emily's oncologist's name. Every piece of evidence a reasonable person would need. No response. I wrote a handwritten letter. Mailed it priority. 5 days later, it came back. Returned to sender, unopened. My mother's handwriting on the envelope. I called Aunt Janet, Dad's younger sister. She called Dad that evening. Called me back 40 minutes later, voice heavy. He told me to stay out of it. He said you've made your bed. On the 6th day, I stopped calling. They had chosen a long time ago. Charlotte just gave them permission to stop pretending. Emily died on a Sunday morning in December. Just the monitor going flat and pale light through the window. I was the only one in the room. I organized a small funeral. 6 people came. I read a eulogy to rows of empty pews. That night, I found a yellow sticky note in Emily's Grey's Anatomy. Her shaky handwriting, "Finish what you started, Fiona. Become the doctor I know you are. Don't you dare let anyone, especially your own blood, tell you who you are." She'd written it weeks before she died. I filled out the re-enrollment form. 2 options, crumble or climb. I chose to climb. I went back in January. No family support. Extra loans, part-time research, hospital cafeteria leftovers. Medical school doesn't pause because your family disowned you. So I stopped crying and started working. I graduated on time. No one from Fairfield came. I matched into a surgical residency at Greystone Medical Center, a level 1 trauma center in Connecticut. That's where I met Dr. Eleanor Whitman, chief of surgery. She became the mentor I needed and the mother figure I'd lost. 3rd year of residency, I met Owen Brenner, civil rights attorney. The first person I told the full story to who didn't flinch. He just listened. Then said, "You deserve better." We got married in Ellie's backyard. 30 guests. Owen's father walked me down the aisle. I'd sent an invitation to Fairfield. It came back unopened. Aunt Janet was there. She cried enough for 2 parents. 5 years passed. Fast forward to January. I'm 32. Chief of trauma surgery at Greystone Medical Center. I have a house, a husband who makes me laugh, and a golden retriever named Murphy, Murph, who's never judged me for eating cereal at midnight. It's a good life, built with my own hands. But there's an ache that never fully fades. It lives in that hollow space where a family is supposed to be. Aunt Janet still calls every Sunday. Last week, her voice was different. "Fiona, there's something I need to tell you about Charlotte. Something concerning." Before she could finish, my pager went off. Trauma activation. I never got the chance to call back, because what Janet was trying to tell me was already hurtling down I-91 in a sedan about to run a red light. Thursday night, 3:07 a.m. The pager dragged me out of sleep. Level 1 trauma. MVC, single female, 35. Blunt abdominal trauma. Hemodynamically unstable. ETA 8 minutes. Dressed in 4 minutes. Driving in 6. Motor vehicle collision, blunt abdominal trauma, unstable vitals, likely splenic rupture, possible liver laceration. I'd done this 100 times. I badged in and picked up the intake iPad. Patient, Charlotte Sutton. DOB, March 14, 1990. Emergency contact, Stephen Sutton, father. I stopped walking. For 2 seconds, I wasn't a surgeon. I was 26 years old on a hospital floor in Portland, listening to a dial tone. "Dr. Sutton?" My charge nurse Michelle appeared. "You okay?" "I'm fine." Prep Bay 2 and page Dr. Morris. The ambulance siren wailed closer. Behind it were 2 people I hadn't faced in 5 years. The doors cracked open. Charlotte was strapped down, unconscious, oxygen mask fogging, blood on her shirt. Paramedics rattled numbers, blood pressure dropping, heart rate climbing. Behind them, running, came my parents. Mom looked like she'd aged a decade. Bathrobe, slippers on the wrong feet. Dad was in flannel thrown on in a panic. "That's my daughter," he shouted. "Where are they taking her? I need the doctor in charge." The nurse put both hands up. Sir, family needs to wait in the surgical waiting area. The chief is handling this personally. Dad grabbed her arm. Get me the chief, now. The nurse glanced at me, gowned, gloved, my badge hanging from my scrub top. She read the name. Her eyes went wide. I gave a small shake of my head. Not now. Sir, the chief is prepping for surgery. The waiting room is this way. My parents were led down the hall. Mom was whispering prayers. Dad kept turning back. She's all we have, he said to no one. Please. She's all we have. I heard it through the glass. She's all we have. As if I had never existed. I stepped into the scrub room alone. 30 seconds. That's all I allowed myself. Part of me wanted to walk out. Let someone else carry this. But there was a woman on that table losing blood faster than we could replace it. She was going to die in 30 minutes if the best surgeon in this building didn't operate. And the best surgeon in this building was me. I paged Morris. I have a conflict of interest. The patient is a family member. I'm disclosing it now. If my judgment is compromised, you take the lead. Understood, Chief. I pulled on fresh gloves, pushed through the doors, and looked down. My sister's face, bruised, oxygen mask fogging. For 3 seconds, she wasn't the woman who destroyed my life. She was a body on my table. Let's go. Scalpel. 3 hours and 40 minutes. Ruptured spleen, removed. Grade 3 liver laceration, repaired, layer by painstaking layer. Internal bleeding, clamped, cauterized, controlled. My hands moved the way they've been trained. Steady, deliberate. At 6:48 a.m., I placed the final stitch. Charlotte's vitals were stable. She was alive. Dr. Morris pulled his mask down. Fiona, that was flawless. You want me to talk to the family? No. This one's mine. I straightened my scrub top, checked my badge, took one breath. Then I walked toward the waiting room. The waiting room had that fluorescent hush hospitals get at 7 in the morning. In the center row, rigid and terrified, were my parents. I pushed through the doors, my badge hung at chest level. Dr. Fiona Sutton, MD, FACS, Chief of Trauma Surgery. Dad stood first. Doctor, how is she? Is Charlotte? He stopped. His eyes dropped to my badge, rose to my face, dropped again. Recognition moved through him like something physical. Mom looked up. Her lips parted. No sound. Her hand shot to Dad's forearm and clamped down. 5 seconds of silence that held 5 years. I spoke first. Calm. Clinical. Mr. and Mrs. Sutton, I'm Dr. Sutton, Chief of Trauma Surgery. Your daughter Charlotte sustained a ruptured spleen and a grade 3 liver laceration. Surgery was successful. She's stable and in the ICU. You'll be able to see her in approximately 1 hour. Mr. and Mrs. not Mom and Dad. I watched that land. Mom moved first. Arms lifting, a sob breaking. Fiona. Oh my God. I stepped back. Half a step. Polite. Unmistakable. She froze. Her hands hung in the air, then slowly dropped. Dad's voice came out like gravel. You're a doctor. I am. You're the chief. I am. But Charlotte said. Charlotte said what, exactly? He closed his mouth. Opened it. Closed it. Mom was crying. We thought you dropped out. We thought, she told us. She told you I dropped out. That I had a boyfriend with a drug problem. That I was homeless. That I refused to contact you. I kept my voice level. None of it was true. Dad tried to redirect. This isn't the time, Fiona. Your sister is in the ICU. I know. I just spent 3 hours and 40 minutes making sure she survives. He had nothing. Mom reached for a chair. The letters. You said you sent letters. 2 emails with my leave of absence paperwork. 1 handwritten letter. You sent it back unopened. I recognized your handwriting. She pressed her fist to her mouth. I called 14 times in 5 days. I asked Aunt Janet to talk to you. You told her to stay out of it. Then Michelle appeared. Dr. Sutton, sorry to interrupt. The board chair saw the overnight trauma log. The Physician of the Year selection committee sends their congratulations. She had no idea she just detonated a second bomb. Mom looked at me, eyes swollen. Physician of the Year? It's an internal recognition. Stephen, Mom's voice was ruined. What have we done? My father said nothing. For hours later, I walked into Charlotte's ICU room. Her eyes were open, glassy from anesthesia. Her gaze tracked to me. She squinted. Read my badge. Read it again. The color drained from her face. Fiona. Good morning, Charlotte. I'm your attending surgeon. You sustained a ruptured spleen and a grade 3 liver laceration. Surgery went well. You're going to make a full recovery. You're a doctor. I'm the chief of this department. Have been for 2 years. Even now, lying in a hospital bed with my sutures holding her liver together, she was trying to figure out how to spin this. Fiona, listen. I can explain. You don't need to explain anything to me. I nodded toward the glass door where my parents stood watching. You need to explain it to them. I updated her chart, checked the drain, left. The entire ICU floor heard what happened next. The moment my parents walked in, Charlotte started crying. Mom, Dad, you have to believe me. I never meant. Charlotte. Dad's voice barely controlled. Fiona is a surgeon. Chief of trauma surgery. I didn't know. She said she sent letters. Emails. Called 14 times. Mom's voice was hollow. Is that true? She's exaggerating. Janet tried to tell us 2 years ago. You said Janet was lying. Fine. She's a doctor. But she abandoned this family. Because we blocked her number, Charlotte. Dad's knuckles were white. Because you told us to. Charlotte had no script. Aunt Janet walked in at 9:45. She didn't sit. She stood in the middle of that room and said, I've been waiting 5 years for this. She pulled out her phone, opened a folder labeled Fiona Proof, screenshots of every email I'd sent, the PDF of my leave of absence, my re-enrollment confirmation, a photo of my residency graduation, me in a cap, Janet next to me, the only family member in the frame. Mom took the phone with trembling hands. And here, Janet said, swiping to a text. From Charlotte, 4 years ago. She read it aloud. Don't tell Mom and Dad about Fiona's residency. It'll just confuse them. They're finally at peace. The room went still. You told me to keep quiet for the family's sake, Janet said. But this family hasn't had peace. It's had a 5-year blackout. Janet turned to my parents. You let this happen. Not because you didn't love Fiona, but because loving Charlotte was easier. Nobody argued. Mom scrolled through Janet's phone, reading my emails. She stopped on the last one. Mom, I don't know if you'll read this. I graduated today. I wish you were here. I'm still your daughter. Mom doubled over. Dad stood at the window, shoulders shaking. You missed her wedding, Stephen. Janet's voice was quiet. Owen's father walked her down the aisle. Dad spoke. 4 words, cracked. What have we done? I came back that afternoon. Mom stood the second I walked in. Fiona, baby, I'm so sorry. I held up my hand. Gently but firm. I hear you, and I believe you're sorry. But sorry is a word. It's a starting place. What I need is time. Dad turned from the window. We want to make this right. Then understand something. I'm not the girl you sent away. I'm someone who built a life, a whole life, without you. If you want to be part of it now, it will be on my terms. Not Charlotte's. Not yours. Mine. Dad opened his mouth, then closed it and nodded. Small. Devastated. I looked at Charlotte. When you're recovered, you and I are going to have a real conversation. But not today. I left. 2 weeks later, I met Charlotte at a coffee shop. She walked in looking hollowed out. I'm not going to yell, I said. You know what you did. What I want to know is why. Long silence. Then, quiet, because you were going to be everything I wasn't. And I couldn't handle it. That's honest. First honest thing you've said in 10 years. I'm sorry, Fiona. Sorry doesn't give me back the years. Sorry doesn't put Dad at my wedding. Real tears. Then, I also called your medical school twice. Tried to get them to revoke your leave. Told them you'd fabricated the documents. I stared at her. Your dean wouldn't listen. He didn't protect me, Charlotte. He believed the truth. I leaned back. I'm not cutting you out. But I'm setting conditions. You will tell the truth to every family member you lied to. In writing. An email to the family group. All 47 people. She nodded. Charlotte sent the email Wednesday. 3 paragraphs. No excuses. She ended with, Fiona never abandoned this family. I made sure they believed she did. That is entirely on me. The responses came in waves. Uncle Brian's wife called Janet in tears. Cousin Benjamin sent one line, I don't know who you are anymore. Our grandmother called me. I'm 89 years old, and I have never been lied to so thoroughly. Forgive an old woman. There's nothing to forgive, Nana. You were lied to. My parents started counseling in February. 3 weeks in, Mom mailed me a handwritten letter. I failed you. Not just when I believed Charlotte, but every time I chose peace over fairness. Every time I saw you quiet and waiting, and told myself you were fine, because it was easier than admitting I wasn't brave enough to fight for you. I read it at the kitchen table. Murph asleep on my feet. I held that letter for a long time. Progress isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just rearranging what you carry. 1 month later, the Physician of the Year Gala. 200 people. I wore a simple black dress. The MC stepped to the podium. This year's Physician of the Year, Dr. Fiona Sutton, Chief of Trauma Surgery. Standing ovation. I walked to the stage. 5 years ago, I almost quit. Not because I couldn't do the work, but because I lost the people I thought I needed. What I learned is that the people you need aren't always the ones you're born to. Sometimes they're the ones who choose you. I looked at Ellie, Owen, my team. Then I looked at the back. Last row. 2 seats Janet had quietly arranged. My parents. Both looking up with grief and pride waging war on the same face. And sometimes, I said, the ones you're born to find their way back. Late, but here. Mom covered her mouth. Dad stood. After the gala, Dad found Owen. I owe you an apology. I should have been the one. Owen extended his hand. With all due respect, sir, you should have been a lot of things. But we're here now. They shook hands. Dad didn't let go right away. Sunday morning. First week of February. Light snow falling. The kind that doesn't stick but makes everything look gently forgiven. I'm making French toast. Owen's grinding coffee, singing off-key. Murph's under the table. The doorbell rings. Mom and Dad on the porch. Dad's holding orange juice. Mom has a tin of cookies, her shortbread, the one she made for every event of Charlotte's and none of mine. Hi, Mom says. Nervous. Hopeful. Come in. Coffee's almost ready. Dad steps inside, looks around. The house he's never been in. The life he almost never knew existed. Can I help with anything? I look at him. My father, 62, asking permission to be useful. You can set the table, Dad. He nods. Takes out plates. Counts them. 4, 4. He sets them down one by one. Carefully. Owen hands him coffee. Mom hugs me at the stove. Quiet. Arms around me. Holding on. Murph thumps his tail. Snow falls. The French toast sizzles. It's not perfect. It's not the childhood I deserved. But it's real. And real is more than I had for a very long time. My name is Dr. Fiona Sutton. I'm 32 years old. And I am finally, slowly, carefully letting myself be someone's daughter again. 4 plates. It's a start. Thanks for listening, and if you like this story, share it with others, and don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about broken families finding their way back, second chances, and the quiet power of choosing truth over revenge. The truth doesn't expire, it just waits for the right moment to show up.